Are you ready?
As there's a drive in a deep left field by Castellanos, it will be a home run.
You know, they have those nerds clusters, which is new. Yeah, which is good. 10-5, touchdown!
Unjustifiably in a position that I'd rather not be in, but the cream will rise to the top, oh yeah.
What are we doing?
Why all the long faces? We're not dead yet.
Don't worry, nobody's listening anyway.
Welcome to Press Box After Dark. Today is Thursday, September 26th, and spooky season is here, boys. Do we celebrate that? What's the plan there? Landon, you're up first, buddy. How are you?
Doing great. My Red Raiders did good this weekend. ACU almost pulled out an upset of Idaho in the last seconds. We're feeling good.
I feel like we're on a little bit more of a positive note than we were the last time we recorded. All of us were real negative. Well, not all of us are happy. I know Herod's happy. His horns are still playing good.
Another weekend, another dub. Hook 'em. We'll get to that a little later, Hunter.
Yeah, speaking of Hunter, his name tonight is Horns Down Hunter. You don't actually think you have a chance this weekend, right?
Listen, the vibes are really, really high right now. Michael Van Buren, the Van Buren boys, our Seinfeld friends, put up the eights, baby. Look, we are going into Austin, Texas, and we are going to get absolutely dumpstered. We are going to get beat so bad, but I'm going to have faith up until kickoff, and at that point, I'm going to turn the TV off for my mental health and my blood pressure.
No, you're not. You're not going to do that. Cam, you had a pretty fun weekend this past one, here it sounds like.
It was a great weekend. Touch more about it here in a minute. But yeah, I went to the JMU UNC game. Everyone was talking about it this weekend. Quite the spectacle. Have never seen a football game like it. And on top of that, Neil Brown saved his job in Morgantown with a comeback win in the last 3 minutes of the game. So, yeah, good weekend for me.
Yeah. My Hawkeyes were down at halftime, but they came back to win the pig. So, yeah, we had a good weekend around here. Yeah.
Do have a question for you, Zach. Is the Floyd of Rosedale the best rivalry trophy in your mind?
It's the best one Iowa plays for. I mean, the other ones are just kind of boring, but they play in a lot of them. Wisconsin's a trophy game. Iowa State's a trophy game. But yeah, to go run across the field and get a pig, because last year they lost on that dumb fair catch game to Minnesota. So the pig was up in Minneapolis, so they had to run across and go get that bacon. So that was,
a lot of times we do drafts on here. One day we need to draft the best rivalry trophies, not rivalry games, but the trophies.
That's a good one. I'm going to add that to the notes list. We did have two great rivalry trophies this weekend. We had the Floyd of Rosedale, obviously, and then we have something you can cook the Floyd of Rosedale in. The Iron Skillet was also this weekend as SMU took that back. So, but yeah, like Zach mentioned, we are Press Box After Dark. You're listening to Horns Down Hunter for the week. We are in Texas Hate Week for all my Mississippi State fans that listen. None of them, because they no longer exist. But let me go over the rundown for episode 4. We got a lot of segments this week. We're switching things up. We're doing a lot of different things, but we'll always end with Hang the Banner. That's our final segment where everybody passes it around and gets 2 minutes to talk about something they find interesting they can hang a banner for. We're going to talk about the Cowboys because we've got 3 Cowboys fans, and it is not looking good in Dallas right now. And Zach's going to lead us on that because he is our biggest Cowboy fan. We're going to not draft tonight. We are going to do a little bit different. We are going to play some trivia. Zach's got a Sporkle quiz. We are not sponsored, but Sporkle, if you're listening, hit us up. Zach's going to lead us on a trivia quiz. We're going to touch on a lot of college football tonight because a lot of things happened in the world of college football that was just crazy. We're going to touch on Baylor in Colorado. We have a special guest for that. We have our first ever our second correspondent. That'll be Emily, our Baylor correspondent. We'll talk about that. We're going to talk about Cameron's trip to Chapel Hill. He touched on a little bit, but he'll elaborate more. We're going to talk about Texas and QB controversy. Arch Manning, Quinn Ewers, big SEC opponent coming in this weekend. So, Herod, we'll get a little bit of a preview to that. But there's no better way to start right now. I feel as if for our fourth episode, then bringing in our basketball correspondent, WNBA and NBA, to talk about the postseason that is actually happening right now, started yesterday. Landon, if you can go ahead and hit the soundbite, because this is our brand new segment, Nothing But the Net. No, I messed it up. Nothing but the bottom of the net. Hit the soundbite.
Leave it in.
Puts up a shot.
Nothing but the bottom of the net.
And it's no good.
In the bottom of the net.
No.
All right. That is Nothing But the Bottom of the Net. Nothing But the Bottom of the Net is brought to you by, we don't have a sponsor yet. If you want to sponsor us, though, pressboxafterdark@gmail.com. Send us an email, get us a sponsor. And everybody, please welcome in our basketball correspondent, Cassie.
Hello, and welcome to Nothing But the Bottom of the Net. If you want to sponsor, I do work for Hy-Vee now. So, Hy-Vee, sponsor us. I'm your new catering manager. They definitely know who I am.
Cassie is also an ACU survivor, in more than one way. But she I'm so sorry. Okay, that's the best joke I'll ever have on this podcast. But Cassie is a big basketball fan, and we're going to bring her on to talk about the NBA and the WNBA, because we, as a group of 5 guys, just don't really watch the NBA. But me and Zach and Landon and Cassie all watched Caitlin Clark 2 years ago in the Final Four, so we are big WNBA followers because of Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, for that matter, in this really big rookie class they've had. But Cassie, kind of break down the WNBA playoffs here and give us your takes on game ones across the board and who you think is going to take the title.
Well, looking back on the regular season, it was New York Liberty all the way in the regular season. They were absolutely the team to beat. Minnesota and the Lynx and Ephesia Collier really gave him a run for that number 1 spot. But just from start to finish, the Liberty have definitely looked like the team to beat, and they proved it yesterday in game 1. An 83-69 win over Atlanta. I mean, I don't think anybody thought there was a tightly contested race down the end for that final spot in the playoffs. And so, but I don't think anybody expects Atlanta to do much. Stewie, she was the reigning MVP, and our Lord and Savior, Asia Wilson, came in the unanimous MVP announced yesterday. Just an insane season. So, it's been fun, but the playoffs are here, and let's look at what we got.
So the Aces they're looking for a three-peat, right?
Aces are looking for a three-peat, but they really struggled this season. They were up and down throughout. They had some slow, just not great.
I know, I watched them a couple of times when they played Indiana, and they looked fine, and that's just because I think it was they were healthy at that point. When I watched them, I watched them when they were in Vegas, and the Fever hung with them, but the Fever, obviously, they're a younger team and they're trying to build a little bit. But looking at that roster, you got, I love Kelsey Plum. She's great. Unbelievable scorer at Washington. I watched her play in college because they matched up with Mississippi State back in the day in an NCAA tournament, and she's just fantastic to watch. And then Asia Wilson, obviously, she's the best player in the world right now, right? So, it's going to be really interesting. I don't know how the bracket matches up, but can the Aces and the Liberty meet in the WNBA finals?
They cannot meet in the finals. So they're looking at a semifinal matchup. The Aces finished 4th. And so right now, again, Liberty, they're going to be in the semifinals. Atlanta, props to Ryan Howard, some great stuff she's done this season, but it's not, I don't think it's really feasible for the 8-1 upset, but the Aces pulled out a win after going down big against Seattle on Sunday. And so if they get that, we're going to see a rematch of last year's championship in the semifinals. And it's it's been a fun matchup. I think the Liberty have really kind of taken the air out of the Aces during the regular season this year. But I feel like right now the Aces are on fire, like leading into the playoffs. Their last 10 games, they were 9-1. They they've again, Asia Wilson's playing out of her mind. Like Chelsea Gray in the opening game had 16 points and 7 assists. Tiffany Hayes came off the bench and had 20 points. And so I really think if they can play at that level, they can match up well with the Liberty. But it remains to be seen. As far as the season goes.
So who would be the sacrificial lamb to the inevitable winner of that Aces Liberty series in the finals?
My guess is Minnesota. Connecticut has been really great, and if Connecticut can play defense, they're a very defensive-minded team. And I really think like Caitlin Clark, the Fever, Aaliyah Boston, back-to-back Rookie of the Years, like they have Connecticut this first round. Connecticut kind of ran away with it late. It was close in the first half. They were only down 8 at halftime, but they really extended that lead in the second half. And I just don't know if the Fever are complete enough to pull off that upset. But they've lost the first game of a first round series to Connecticut 4 times in their history, and 2 of those times they have come back. So 50% of the time they've come back to win that series. So, but I'm not entirely sure they can do it. Caitlin had an okay game. I think if she's going to be what we've put her on the pedestal to be, she really has to be more efficient from the field. But I mean, she did everything right this year. And she's still been fun to watch, but I think Connecticut's going to take that series, and I wouldn't be surprised if they take it in the 2 games. And that puts them in a matchup with Minnesota. Minnesota won 13 of their last 15 down the stretch. And yeah. And Nafisha Collier scored a career-high 38 points in the first game of their series with Phoenix. And it was only the second time in WNBA playoff history that there were 2 30-point scorers in a playoff game. Natasha Cloud for the Mercury scored 33 points. And so it was a really fun game Sunday night. And I think the biggest thing is, I would say even though they're the second seed, I would say my sleeper pick for the championship would be Minnesota. They have what it takes to win. They won the Commissioner's Cup, the little in-season tournament that they did. And they were the first to do it. NBA copied. But the Minnesota did beat the Liberty for that in their championship. So we've seen that they have a decent matchup with New York. And it'll be interesting to see what we get out of the Liberty Aces series. But the Aces have to beat Seattle first. And they won 78-67. They kind of pulled away late. But they were down early. They fourth quarter, the Aces held Seattle to 2 points. It was 14-2 in the fourth.
That's just gross.
Yeah. And so Kelsey Plum honestly didn't have a great game, but point guard Chelsea Gray, 16.7 assists, and Jackie Young had a pretty good game too. So, I mean, to me, it's the Aces, despite not having the best regular season, it's the Aces championship to lose. But Minnesota is sneaky in there. I really like what they've put together. Cheryl Reeve was the head coach of the U.S. team at the Olympics this year. And so, You know, she has that championship mentality. And so I think if anybody can kind of come out and give us a different champion from Aces or Liberty, or give us a different matchup in the finals, it's Minnesota.
So if we were to give me a hard, just quick, when I ask you the questions, give me a hard, quick, and we'll wrap it up here. Who is winning the WNBA finals?
The Las Vegas Aces.
So Vegas Aces, 3-peat. Would that be, so is that the first time since the Houston Comets?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
They 4-peated back in the day.
Yeah, they won 4. So
Don't come at us and say we don't know our WNBA. That's why we have a basketball correspondent. Cassie, thank you for joining us. She will definitely be back, especially when the NBA kicks up. When does the NBA season start, Cassie?
gosh, here soon. Usually late September, early October. So we should get here soon.
We will definitely have Cass back. We love Cass. Thank you for coming on, Cass. And that will wrap us up for Nothing But the Bottom of the Net. And oh boy, now we have to move on and talk about the Texas Longhorns. And the first thing we're going to talk about the Texas Longhorns is there a quarterback controversy brewing in Austin? Arch Manning got his first career start against the Warhawks of Louisiana Monroe. Shout out Cats, alma mater. Jordan, what were your thoughts on Arch's first start? And do you think there's going to be any quarterback controversy in reality? Because ESPN's already talking about how Arch is winning the Heisman.
No, there's no quarterback controversy. He's QB1. Arch is maybe the most talented backup quarterback in the country right now. But when Quinn's ready to go, it'll be Quinn. They may give him this week. They may give Arch this week against Mississippi State, but it'll be Quinn. And I'll tell you what I noticed was Quinn's accuracy, Quinn's ability in the short game. The Horns really missed that the other day. When they got in third down situations, they weren't throwing 2 or 3 or 4 yard slant routes. They were throwing post routes down the middle of the field. Arch can throw a tremendous deep ball, but he's got a ways to go before he's ready to be a regular starter. It's Quinn for the rest of the year.
Did they run him QB run a lot with Arch? I didn't watch the game. I hadn't seen the highlights yet either.
No, they really, I mean, they had 3 different running backs accounted for 6 touchdowns. They really leaned on the run game a good deal, which was kind of expected, but also a little bit surprising given the lack of depth that they have at that position right now. I don't know that there were any designed runs for Arch. I think if he ran any, it was busted plays or good coverage or something like that. But we saw a glimpse of that when he came off the bench the week before. But no, it's Arch taking over just happened to be at the right time. It was 3 games that Texas was already going to be heavily favored for. I'm not sure Arch is ready to be thrown out there against Michigan or certainly the Georgias of the world. So it's been fun to watch Arch, but it's also a lot more fun to watch that team when QB1's on the field.
Is there any hope for me at all this weekend in Austin? I mean, is there anything? Give me something. Give me some kind of glimmer of hope. Like, do they have the measles? Is there any kind of like rumor going around that they all like might just sit out the game and protest or something? Is there anything you got for me here?
Yeah, if a bomb gets dropped on the stadium at some point this week, you got a pretty good shot. Texas, defensively, man, I think that Texas is maybe the best team in the country. I wasn't sure until I saw it last week, but they've allowed 2 touchdowns in 4 games. Granted, 3 of those are against teams that they should do that to, but 22 points in 4 games. I was looking at this earlier for comparison. The 05 team that won the national championship and had 9 players on their defense end up in the NFL had allowed 55 points through 4 games. And a majority of those against a number 2 Ohio State team. So this may be the best Texas defense maybe of my lifetime, and that's kind of scary to think about. But really right now, Texas' weak point is going to be, and this sounds crazy, but the weak point's going to be on the offense, especially if it's Arch Arch hasn't faced a defense like any SEC defense.
He's not facing one this weekend. I'm just going to go out there and tell you.
That's fair too, but I'm not sure that the run game is going to be able to do to Mississippi State what they did to ULM. So just a lot of inexperience in the quarterback position, the running back position, but their O-line and their wide receiver rooms are loaded, man.
Because honestly, Herod, I don't care about Texas for the next 2 weeks. The Mississippi State game, and then they have the bye. I care about the Red River game and Georgia after that. Those are the 2 weeks that are the season, really.
Yeah, and those are the two that have been circled since last season ended. Everybody knew Michigan was going to lose a lot. Truthfully, I think that they'll trot Arch out there this week and give Quinn that extra week to get healthy going into the bye week, and then just get ready for Oklahoma. But no, Hunter, to answer your question without being sarcastic, they are loaded across the board, and they're a lot of fun to watch right now. But defensively, man, if you can't run the ball, you're going to have a real hard time against that ball club.
138.5 points.
It's the largest spread in Mississippi State history. Texas will cover. It's just gonna happen. Well, here's the thing. A lot of people have been making claims on Twitter. We had the Florida State fan, the Kansas State fan. I want to make this claim, but it's going to be a positive claim. If Mississippi State wins this game, I will get the Van Buren boys tattooed on my ass and the final score. And I will do. And my number one fear in life, and my wife will tell everybody, is needles. I cannot stand needles. I almost contemplated not getting a whooping cough shot before my daughter was born. And that's just a tiny little needle. So I will get that tattooed on my ass if Mississippi State wins. Look, we're down bad. We're going 2-10. I'm going to keep all the Mississippi State fans who listen to this, because I share it with them, I'm going to keep talking about the Bulldogs as much as I can, but we are so bad. We're just so bad. Herod, I would love to hear an outsider's opinion when you watch 4 quarters of this game the next time we record, because it's going to be gross football. I'm just going to let you know right now. ULM was a tougher opponent for you guys.
Yeah, I jokingly told you earlier when we were kind of going back and forth, I love what college football brings. It's pretty fun that they're going to let the best team in the country play one of the worst teams in the country and call it a conference game.
I know all the Oklahoma fans are steaming mad right now because they opened up with Tennessee for their first ever SEC game and got mollywopped, and then Texas just gets, the worst Mississippi State team in maybe program history. I mean, and even then, Mississippi State is no Tennessee. So
this is an absolutely perfect storm for the Texas Longhorns right now. Texas A&M is down. Oklahoma is certainly not what they were 5 or 10 years ago. Your all-world quarterback goes down, and you have an all-world backup. Let's not forget the reason that Texas is in that position. Their starting quarterback went down in the national championship against Alabama, and they looked like a completely different ball club. So depth has been really hammered since Sark got there. But man, you're looking at a team that top to bottom, 5 stars across the board. Even when the quarterback goes down, you're looking at playing ULM and a bad Mississippi State team. It's a perfect storm for the Texas Longhorns right now, and it's not going to last forever. So I'm trying to ride the high.
We got plenty of time to talk about that Oklahoma game, but it might be one of the more lower scoring red rivalry games in a while, because Oklahoma's defense isn't bad.
No.
And Texas has good defense
I
too.
think it's going to depend on if Quinn's healthy or not, because I mean they've proven they can go hang. I mean they beat the pants off of Michigan, and they scored 30 in that game.
Well, I mean, I'm not looking forward to Saturday. I know Jordan is, but let's pass it over to somebody that's been on an all-time high, especially this past weekend. Cameron, you went up to Chapel Hill. You saw your JMU Dukes just, light the world on fire, because I was sitting there watching the grossness that was Florida, Mississippi State, and you texted me at the end of the first quarter, and I think you sent me the text that said, we're on pace to win like 104 to like 60 something. And I was like, no, you're not. And I checked the app on the ESPN app, and I was like, oh my God, what are they doing in North Carolina? Tell us about your trip to Chapel Hill.
Trip was great. I think the score speaks for itself. We had a pretty good time. Talk about the prep a little bit. If we haven't talked about it before on this podcast, I can't remember. JMU has a tradition where they throw streamers in the crowd after touchdowns. And Sunbelt actually came out with a rule this year. It said if any streamers or any objects thrown from the crowd cannot enter the field of play, or else it'll be an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. It's been a tradition from a long time. It actually started at basketball games where they would throw streamers on the crowd or throw streamers on the court after a big win. And it kind of migrated its way over to football. In preparation, I bought a 4-pack of streamers. I went with 3 buddies who also bought the same 4-pack of streamers from Amazon. And I was like, man, we all bought a 4-pack of streamers. We're going to throw like 3 of these. Like, I just hope I get to throw a streamer once, because it's just so much fun. I haven't been able to do it since I was a student. And so we get to the game. Security was very weak. We got the streamers in very easily. They scanned our ticket and sent us on our way. Game started, and it was no defense from the get-go. We went straight down the field, did get stopped on our initial drive and kicked a field goal to go up early. And then we actually blocked a punt for a touchdown to go up 11-0. We made a 2-point conversion to make it 11-0. After that, UNC started to claw back. They scored 2 touchdowns back-to-back, made it 14-11. And then we came back and scored immediately on a free play touchdown, really long touchdown pass. And then this is where the turning point happened. We go up 18-14. We still have basically like half of the first quarter left, and we kick an onside kick, but it wasn't your typical onside kick. It was kind of the scum kick, the middle school kick, where you just kick it as hard as you can at one of the upbacks. And it played out to perfection. If you haven't seen the video or the highlight of that, the JMU kicker literally just kicks it directly at the closest guy to him as hard as he could, and ricocheted off of him, and we recovered it immediately. Then we go down and score a touchdown right after that. At this point, I went to go see one of my other buddies in the stadium. One of my friends works for the JMU athletic department. He works in ticketing. He was there working the game on the road doing ticket assistance. And they closed up shop like halfway through the first quarter. And his parents were there. And so we went up to the upper deck. We went to go see his parents. By the time I got back to my seats, which was mid-second quarter, 20 minutes later, and I'm not joking, the score was 46-21, which it didn't even seem real. I got back to my seats and we were up 46-21. And then it looked like they were going to just, take a knee and go into halftime. No, they throw a pick 6 right before halftime as well. And so we take it into halftime up 53-21. And Hunter, that's when I texted you. I think I texted the group and I said, we're on pace to win 106-42 right now. And, it was pretty surreal. Second half, we came out and we kind of called the dogs off a little bit. I mean, we still scored a little more. I think we scored sparingly. I mean, it was kind of back and forth. But yeah, finished 70-50. And, the biggest takeaway for me from that game was the quarterback play. Last year, Alonzo Barnett, who's the starting quarterback for JMU, Alonzo Barnett last year wins the starting job. He goes out in the first game and he struggles immensely. Curt Cignetti, the former head coach who's now at Indiana, pulls him in the very first game that he gets the starting job, puts in Jordan McLeod, and Jordan McLeod just took the job and ran with it, never looked back. Had an insane year last year for JMU, and then transferred after the departure of Curt Cignetti, and he's actually at Texas State right now, another team who's very, very good in the Sun Belt this year. And that left another opening for the quarterback position. JMU in the offseason picked up Dylan Morris from Washington, who was the backup for Michael Penix the past couple years, I believe. And everyone kind of just assumed that it was going to be him winning that job. And everyone kind of forgot about Alonzo Barnett. but he stayed with the program. He came out in the very first game of the season this year against Charlotte. He struggled in the first half of that game, and then in the second half of that game, he came out and he showed, the talent that he has. Had a really, really strong second half against Charlotte, and then in week 2, just the entire team just fell completely asleep against not a weak, but an FCS opponent, Gardner-Webb, where both teams just could not move the ball. And then we went into a bye week, really weird week 3 bye week. And then we come into week 4 against UNC. And like I said, I wasn't expecting to throw many streamers. I was kind of hoping that we would just cover the 10.5-point spread. No one goes into UNC expecting a win like that. And I ran out of streamers before the first quarter even ended. It was a crazy game. The closest thing that I can think of was, as a West Virginia fan, that first West Virginia game in the Big 12 where they beat Baylor 70-63. But in that game, at least Baylor was competitive in that game. They didn't have a defense, but neither did West Virginia, and they were trading blows the entire game. JMU, after that onside kick, that pivotal moment that I mentioned earlier, they never lost control of that game. I mean, they were just stepping on the throat of UNC the entire rest of the way, and honestly called the dogs off in the second half a little bit. We could have thrown the ball more in the second half. We kind of played the possession game a little bit, just tried to get to all zeros on the clock, honestly, and we still scored. And I think the post-game reaction from everyone nationwide was, holy cow, how are they doing this with half of their team in Bloomington, Indiana? And it was so bad that Mack Brown told the team he wanted to quit after the game, which I could not believe hearing that.
Is he done? Is he done? Is this the start of the end of Mack Brown, the comeback trail?
I think it's the start of the end for him. I did not believe that he was actually going to hang it up. But I don't know, man. That's just the kind of game that if I'm the coach, I don't feel for him because it's his program and it's what he's got to manage. But yeah, I'd be pretty ticked off too. They paid $500,000 for JMU to come in and beat them like that.
70 points. I legitimately can't comprehend that, mostly as an Iowa fan, but as any fan. 70 points, 70 to 50.
Well, and to highlight again, Barnett, I just think he's I kind of admire the kid and how mature he's been through the entire thing, with losing the job last year, everyone assuming that he was going to be the backup again this year. And then on the biggest stage possible this season for them, he throws for 388 yards, 5 touchdowns, no picks, and then he also runs for 99 yards and 2 more scores. Every single touchdown was scored by him in that game, outside of the special teams and defensive scores.
Okay, so I just went back real quick. Of last year for Iowa, the 2020 preseason, how many games, I started at the bowl game and went up, how many games do you think it took them to get to 70 points?
So
my.
You did the 2023 season?
2023 season, starting with the bowl game loss and working their way up. They won 10 games.
I'm going to get, well, that's a pretty good guess. I was going to guess 6.
Go with your gut. Go with your gut.
7
games.
Wow.
Scored 70 points total in the last 7 games of the season.
That's so bad. That's just so bad. I do like what you said. The losing your streamers at the end of the first quarter cracked me up. It reminded me of a couple of weeks ago when Vandy was playing Alcorn and they scored 56. And after they scored that last touchdown, the video board put up there like, "Sorry fans, we ran out of fireworks," and the most Vanderbilt move of all time. It's like Cameron had to tell all his JMU friends, "Sorry guys, we ran out of streamers in the first quarter."
It was pretty crazy. It was crazy to just see a game like that in person, and to be on the right side of it just felt that much better. And the defense gives up 50 points, but I think you got to also give them credit to some degree. They forced the special teams touchdown. They had a pick six touchdown. They gave up a lot of yards. The yardage was pretty similar, I believe. I think both teams were in the 600s, I want to say. But you also got to remember UNC has one of the best running backs in the country in Omarion Hampton. They have a really, really great receiver in J.J. Jones. Their offense isn't bad. The quarterback situation isn't ideal, but they have what it takes on offense. The defense from UNC is genuinely one of the worst defenses I've seen in a long time. And that's not to take anything away from JMU because they did exactly what they needed to do. But just the wide open receivers, I mean, no one even around them. I just could not believe what I was watching.
And that's almost been the whole tenure at UNC for Mack Brown in this, the comeback trail for him. It's like they had Sam Howell. Their offense was electric. Defense couldn't stop a thing. Then they go to Drake May. Same thing. It's like their offense can score on literally anybody, but their defense can't stop a high school offense, it seems at times. And then now the Max Johnson injury against Minnesota in week 1. That's unfortunate, but the offense is still humming, and the defense just cannot stop anything. So I do think that this might be the start of the end for Mack Brown. I don't think he's getting fired by any stretch of the means. I just think that this might be one of those seasons that just kind of like breaks your back, kind of as a fan, like as a coach, just he's up in age. He really just hasn't gotten over the hill at UNC, and this might be like one of those games and one of these seasons where he's like, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and retire and just pass this on to somebody else.
I hate when that happens by any stretch of the means. I hate it. Yeah.
Yeah. But we're workshopping a bunch of stuff over here. But appreciate you sharing your story and your trip to Chapel Hill. I'm glad that you got to go and experience a fun football game and an actual good win for the Dukes. Do you think the Dukes, real quick, you think they can win the Sun Belt?
I think they're the favorite. They got to be the favorite right now. We still have some fun games left on the schedule. We actually play a common opponent, Jordan. Your Longhorns just faced off against ULM. We play them not this week, but the following week. We finish off non-conference this weekend with Ball State. And then, we go to ULM. We have some good games on the rest of the schedule. We play Coastal Carolina. They're having a pretty good season. They just lost to UVA, but UVA's got that high-flying offense. I don't think anyone was necessarily shocked by that game. But JMU, there's some good games left on the schedule, but they also don't have a ton of super difficult games. They should take care of business against ULM. They get Coastal at home. They go to Georgia Southern. That's always a difficult game, no matter how Georgia Southern is. It's tough to play them there. Southern Miss and Georgia State should both be wins. Old Dominion, not great. And then you finish off with 2 decently tough games at App State and home against Marshall. But App State, again, we thought App State was going to be great, and then they just got absolutely destroyed this past weekend in that Thursday night game. So it's hard to know what you got with them.
Well, I'm glad you had a good time. I do think I did see JMU's odds to be that Group of 5 representative did shoot up after this win. So there's an outside chance that the Dukes can do it, and I hope they do for you, buddy. That'll be 2 people on this podcast that are happy. Well, Zach's happy as well. Iowa did win the Floyd. So, but one more college football game we want to talk on before we go to our final college football segment of the night is the game that I think everybody stayed up late to watch. Obviously, everybody watches this team every single week. Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, and the Colorado Buffaloes got their first ever win in the Big 12 since they returned, and their first ever conference game since they've been back. And we felt that it was very important for this podcast to go ahead and get the thoughts of our number 1 Baylor correspondent, Zach's wife, Emily, Emily, welcome to the podcast, and go ahead and give us your thoughts on the Baylor Bears and what happened in Boulder, Colorado Saturday night.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here as the Baylor correspondent. So, there have been a lot of big changes within the Big 12 this season. CU's returning after 13 seasons away. And, even after all of these changes, somehow Baylor is still the only team with a green logo. And yet, it is not easy being green. Absolutely not. I think Baylor is probably really regretting being a Baptist school at this point, considering they got fucked by a Hail Mary. Now, I know that's not the only thing that affected this game. The predictions were going into this season that they were probably going to have one of the best kicking games in the Big 12. But considering that their kicker Isaiah, with a biblical-ass name, somehow missed his blessing with his foot, that they're really having some regrets. Now, I'm not going to say that a lot of this could not have been predicted. You've got somebody on the field out there catching in the last 2 seconds of the game named LaJonte, and the quarterback for Baylor's name is Sawyer. I think we could have easily seen this coming. I don't know. And I know that Baylor has had some really famous football players. You've got RG3 out there, okay? You've got Mike Singletary. You got Brittany Griner, right? We have got some top-tier athletes out on the field. But I just don't think that they've really had it under Coach Aranda. And Hunter, I know that you're really feeling the Baylor bad luck because their quarterback came over to your team, and he's not doing much for y'all either. So
I'm feeling a lot of things right now. I'm hurting because I'm laughing so hard. My God, what has happened on this podcast? Oh my gosh. Emily, is there anything else you want to add about the Baylor Bears?
I'll tell you what just happened. What just happened is, for the first time, I'm going to have to put explicit on our podcast.
Emily is the After Dark of Press Box After Dark.
I'm going to say this. I don't even think this is a bold statement to make. That's probably the first segment that might actually gain us followers and listeners. That was a absolute 10 out of 10.
Thank you.
Look, I don't know if I'm going to be putting on this headset again.
We pride ourselves as a podcast of faith, as there's a deep tribe to the right by Castellanos.
Emily, what else do you have for us?
I really think
Landon is so annoyed right now.
Just leave it in. Just leave it all in. I don't care. Just leave it in.
It's all staying in.
Oh, gosh. Anything else, Emily?
Yes. So I've been thinking, this was a heartbreaking loss. It was a close loss. They lost in overtime. It's not that they're bad, but God, they're not good. And so I think I've really been evaluating where do I want to follow the Big 12? And obviously, I'm an Iowa resident, so Iowa State would be the safe choice. But because I am married to a Hawkeye, I'm obviously banned from doing that. So I think I am going to become a Cincinnati fan because their mascot, the Bearcats, combines two of my favorite animals with the Baylor Bears and my alma mater, the ACU Wildcats. Scratch them. Speaking of Wildcats, I think we should touch briefly on the fact that former ACU quarterback Stone Earl playing for Marshall this year.
Yikes. He was on national TV against Ohio State.
Hey, he was on ESPN Plus with UNT and ACU.
How many more years of eligibility does Stone Earl have?
I don't know. For all I know, he's a junior.
Cassie in the background just said 7. So, well, Emily, I know once the fans hear this, or the fan hears this, we will have to have our Baylor correspondent back for future episodes to keep up with the Baylor Bears. Emily, thank you so much.
I do want to encourage the listeners to make sure that they tune into the Baylor game next week, in which we can see which religion is better, the Baptists or the Mormons.
Oh my gosh. I mean, okay, I know that Kat most recently watched the Mom Talk, the Mormon Moms of TikTok reality show on Hulu. So I think more people are going to be rooting for Baylor this weekend. But we will see. That was our Baylor correspondent, Emily. That was the best segment this podcast will ever have. That was fantastic, absolutely incredible.
My favorite segment of this podcast has gone from roasting everything Hunter says to just listening to Emily's very in-depth analysis.
My jaw is on the floor right now.
Right.
I don't even know what just happened. Zachary,
does this make people like me more or feel really sorry for me at this point? Like, I don't know where that lands.
It's a bit of both. I think it's a bit of both. But, I mean, we are going to try and we're not going to top it, but we're going to try to follow that rant on Baylor with rants of our own and a brand new segment that we've kind of done once before, but now we have a soundbite for it. So, Landon, go ahead and cue it up. We are going to end our college football talk with You Just Made the List. Landon, hit it.
You just made the list! Oh, no!
All right. You Just Made the List is brought to you by... Yeah, we still don't have sponsors. Even if you thought we were going to get one by the time we got to this segment, we don't have any. But this is You Just Made the List. We've done this before, so we do weekly picks that you can find. We post all the graphics to Twitter, and that's at PressBoxAD, and then the breakdown articles done by me. That's at PressBoxAfterDark.com. But we started this all the way back in our first ever episode. It started with Jordan, who came up with this idea after Florida State pissed him off in their Week 0 loss to Georgia Tech. So this is just a moment where all of us can go around and add people to the no pick list that we are no longer allowed to choose in our picks every single week for teams that just really just make us mad or cost us a win in our pick'em standums. Does anybody want to go ahead and give us a start? Jordan's raising his hand.
Yeah, I'd love to go first on this one. Can you tell me, Hunter, what the spread was for Florida Atlantic and UConn last week?
Please hold. I mean, you can talk while I'm looking. You can talk while I'm looking.
Podcast.
You can talk.
You said to hold.
You did say hold.
Phenomenal podcast material here, guys.
That's a 10-yard penalty.
Landon, put elevator music in.
You better hope your Mississippi State Bulldogs do some holding.
We do. We have a lot of penalties thrown on us. Don't worry.
How does it feel knowing that the best part of the game for your team is going to be just being in the same stadium with Arch Manning?
Honestly, I hate. God dang it. Okay.
Him in there.
That was really good.
All right. What was the spread in Florida Atlantic last week?
It was 20. UConn was a 20-point favorite.
UConn was a 20-point favorite. Do you know how bad of a football team you have to be for UConn to be a 20-point favorite and cover by 34? They won that game by 34 points. That's absurd. Florida Atlantic, I thought Tom Herman was going to go into UConn and Tom Herman was going to sprinkle a little pixie dust on it. I'm looking at stats. Leading passer, 9 of 15 for 87 yards and a pick. He was also their leading rusher at 71 yards. Their leading receiver had 28 whole yards, more than I did. That's a bad football team, and I'm never again taking a chance on a Tom Herman team. I learned my lesson.
So that is Florida Atlantic and Florida State. So I'm starting to sense a sort of theme for Jordan's no pick list for this year. Does anybody else have
I'm coming for you, Ron DeSantis.
I think he's about to put the Jaguars on there, too, if things hold up.
Cameron?
I would like to add Kansas to this list. Was having so much fun at the JMU game that I almost forgot West Virginia was even playing. Apparently there was a lightning delay. I don't even know. West Virginia went down by 11 points in that fourth quarter with 3 minutes to go in the game, and somehow ended up winning that game 32-28. I had Kansas as my upset pick. West Virginia, hold on. Hunter, I need you to check the final spread on this one because I want to say West Virginia was favored by 3.5, and they were down 11 with 3 minutes left.
2.5.
What?
They were 2.5.
There were 2.5.
I tried to do numbers with my fingers so you could keep talking, and it sucked.
Regardless, They're 2.5-point favorite. They're down by 11, and they come back and win the game by 4 points in the last 3 minutes of the game. That's bad as is. That's a horrible beat if you pick Kansas there. But I picked Kansas as my upset pick, and I know it was against my Mountaineers, but I'm still pretty upset about that.
In Hunter's
I've given up.
in Hunter's defense, it is hard to put up a 2 and a 5.
Yeah,
Those are hard numbers.
yeah. I mean, I had given up on the West Virginia season before this week, anyways, after losses to Penn State and Pitt. So it didn't really matter to me that much. In terms of our pick 'em each week, yeah, I will no longer be picking Kansas. Jalen Daniels is terrible.
I don't know if I'm going to formally add anything to the list, but I'm weary about Iowa unders. They've been hitting the over here consistently this season. So I don't know. I mean, 31 points, 38 points, 40 in the opener, just for the Hawkeyes, not for the game itself. So I don't know. We'll see if the over-under numbers start to move up a little bit for Iowa. But, I mean, their next game is at Ohio State in 2 weeks. So, their over-unders are going to be really hard to guess coming up here. So I'm weary about.
Landon, go ahead.
I don't think we ever said that it had to be college football, so I'm going to say the Cowboys. Just in general, just throw them on the no-pick list. No, don't ever do it. I know that
we do not pick the NFL, but I can put the Cowboys logo on the graphic if you want me to.
I think he deserves to be on the graphic.
I have to pick them because I volunteered to pick all the NFL games, and yeah, I'm with you, Landon. It sucks.
Yep, there we go.
Can we talk about how the Cowboys just didn't offer Derrick Henry a contract, and Derrick Henry just walked?
Hold those thoughts to the ending segment because I want to hear Zach's on that for sure. I'm going to wrap us up here on the no pick list. I am going to add 2 teams. One, because they were on the bye, because we're a bi-weekly podcast, the bye week when we didn't record. Purdue, you pissed me off. So I took the Purdue Notre Dame under right after Notre Dame had just got beaten by Northern Illinois. And I thought to myself, Purdue, not a great football team. Notre Dame struggling offensively. I was like, there's no way in the world that these two teams are going to muster up 47 points. And even if they do, it's probably going to be Notre Dame scoring 35 by themselves or 38 and Purdue only scoring 3. And the Boilermakers proceeded to forget how to play football and give up 66 points to Notre Dame. Purdue, get on the no-pick list for me. That was terrible. My second one, really quickly, the Auburn quarterbacks. Only the quarterbacks. I'm just putting the Auburn quarterbacks on here. So Hank Brown, Peyton Thorne, whatever the Auburn football team.
Jarrett Stidham.
I mean, we can put him on there too. I don't care.
Also a Baylor quarterback.
Oh, God. Back to Baylor. Here we go. No, Peyton Thorne, Hank Brown, awful. Absolutely putrid football from those two guys. Horrible quarterback play from those guys. And it's kind of a shame because I actually like what Auburn has around them. And it kind of starts with the head man of Hugh Freeze throwing his players under the bus. I know in the whole quote at the press conference, a lot of people put that he was the quote where he threw his players under the bus. The whole press conference, he did say that he took blame as well for being a bad coach and not coaching them well. But still, everybody knew coming into this season that Peyton Thorne was not a good quarterback. I ranked him second to last in my preseason SEC quarterback rankings. He was awful. You bench him and you put in Hank Brown, who is just too young. He's not a bad quarterback. He's just inexperienced, and he's got to grow up. And they turned the ball over 5 times against Arkansas. They give that game away, and their season's done, and it's shot. And it's not anybody else's fault, really, in my mind, but Hugh Freeze, because Hugh Freeze knew what he had, and he had an opportunity to go get a quarterback in the portal if he wanted to. He chose not to, and it's biting him in the butt. So the Auburn quarterbacks and Purdue are on my no-pick list. Anybody else want to throw one out there, or are we good with our no-pick list for this week? All right. Oh, No, we're good. We're good. All right. Well, that was You Just Made the List. You Just Made the List, again, brought to you by Nobody. Sponsors, if you're listening. We'll take you.
Be a good time for our grocery store plug, right?
That would be great right there. Yeah. Kroger.
A list? Yeah.
Yeah. That's really good. What is the local grocery store chain up in Iowa?
There's a couple of them. There's one called Fairway, and then there's one called Hy-Vee. It's two parts of a name put together. Hyvee.
Nothing will beat the HEB in Texas. That was fantastic. I loved it.
It's also a school district in Dallas, too. Weird.
Is there a Piggly Wiggly up there? And Piggly Wiggly a West?
That's a Pokemon.
Never mind.
Piggly Wiggly.
Cool. I'll cut that.
Yes.
Oh, leave it all.
Nope.
No.
We're leaving all this in. All right. Well, that will wrap us up for our college football talk. We touched on a lot of things that were very interesting to all of us, and Emily topped us all with her coverage of Baylor. But we are going to segue over into another new segment. This is just the episode of new segments. Instead of drafting tonight, Zach is got a Sporkle quiz for the rest of us to do, and we are going to do a Sporkle quiz right now. Zach, take it away.
All right. So I don't know exactly the best way to do this, but I might just go like one at a time. You each make a guess, and we go from there, and we see how much we can do. I didn't want to go something too easy, but I didn't want to do something too hard either for the first one because I didn't want it to take too much time. But I really think in the spirit of college football, I wanna name the Heisman winners. I want to go back on a list with the Heisman winners. Jordan, you got a hand lead.
I have a question. Is this like a score thing or like the four of us against the game itself?
Yeah, it's just the four of you trying to the list. I think that's all we do. Yeah.
And is this all time? All time?
No.
From start to finish?
No, God, no. We're not doing that.
I was about to say Davey O'Brien.
My thought was, who's the youngest of us? It's Cam. What year were you born?
98.
There we go. We'll go back to 98.
What's your social security number?
Yeah. Give me your
23. No, I'm sorry. No.
All fan mail can just be sent to Cam's address. Yeah. All right.
Yep. Thank you.
So we can go back to 1998 to current. We'll do that. And it doesn't have to be in order, but just I have the list here, so we'll just cross them off as you get them. And you don't have to. I don't have to say, "Hey, what was it in 2012?" Just give me the name, and I'll cross them off, and we'll see if we can come up.
Okay.
Zach, go ahead and pick us an order.
My screen, I've got Hunter, Cam, Landon, Jordan. That's the order on my screen. So let's just do that.
Landon will be no help in this, so Landon should probably be skipped.
Like pretty much every trivia game ever.
Yeah, that's true. Exactly. So then let's do Hunter, Cam, Jordan, and we'll just keep circling around. Just say one. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, and we'll just keep going around.
Okay. I like my teammates on this one.
Okay, so
since 98 is what we're doing?
Yes, since 98.
Okay.
So I think I got this one in the tank. 1998, Ricky Williams.
It was Ricky Williams, yeah.
Nice. Are we supposed to go in order, or are we just naming Heisman winners?
Don't have to go in order.
Sorry, I wasn't listening to the instructions.
No, I don't think you have to go in order. I mean, there are no rules, really.
Okay, well, I'm going to go with the Texas guys first. I'm sorry, Cam. Sorry. Again, didn't listen to the instructions.
Yeah,
That's my bad.
No rules. Go ahead, Cam.
I'm going to go back as far as I think I can. Don't know what year this was, but Jason White.
Nice. 2003. Yeah.
Okay.
Good. 2 for 2, boys.
Permission to speak, Cameron?
Yeah, I think we're going to skip Landon unless Landon really wants to contribute.
No,
Landon has. Hold on. No, Landon has to get at least one.
You can give me a Heisman winner, Landon, right?
Hold on, Landon. One guy did it
I'll
twice.
even let you go before me, dude.
But that guy who did it twice is not in the years that we're doing this, Cameron.
Right.
Oh, sorry. Never mind.
Yeah,
before the war.
Can you give me one, Landon? Can you name me a Heisman?
O'Brien.
Yes, but
in the 40s. Okay. Thank you, Landon. Jordan.
You said give me one. And this will wrap us up for our segment. Landon says a word. All right.
I need a moment here. There's so Landon, who won it last season? Could it be Baylor?
He's got nothing.
Could be Baylor.
You can do last season. Yeah, it doesn't. We don't have to go in order here.
Wow.
It's funny that y'all think that I won't know who won it last season.
I love Landon so much.
Fantastic to me. I'm going to try to stay a little bit on track here and throw out Ricky Williams, 1998.
Yep.
You just played a Hunter.
Hunter did lead with that one.
Oh, damn it.
You did it.
Sorry.
You just pulled a Hunter.
Sorry.
You made so much fun of me. You just did it. This is an omen. Mississippi State is winning on Saturday, and this is the start of it right here. This is the domino effect right here.
First and last time we play this game.
Okay, fine, Hunter. I'm going to go Chris Winkie.
Nice pull. 2000 Heisman winner, Chris.
He was the running joke in our fantasy league for a long time, where we joked whoever got the number 1 pick just had to take Chris Winkie.
I'll bridge the gap. 1999 Ron Dye.
Who?
Ron Dane?
What?
Dane, sorry. Yeah, I got the name wrong.
Oh my!
I don't think he gets the point for that. No, I don't know. We're not keeping score. Ron Dane, the Wisconsin running back. Yeah.
My bad. Sorry, Mr. Ron.
One of the all-time leading rushers in the history of the sport.
Jordan Garrison is absolutely losing his mind in Germany right now.
Those are our two German listeners are really mad right now.
Cameron, it's you, buddy.
Troy Smith.
Nice pull. 2006 Ohio State.
I'm going to take Marcus Mariota.
Okay, there you go. Bumping up to 2014 Marcus Mariota.
02 Carson Palmer.
Nice. They beat the crap out of the Hawkeyes.
Can you tell me what years we have?
Yeah, you guys have hit 98, 99, 2000, 02, 03, 06, and 2014.
Okay, I'll close the gap there. 01, the Fighting Corn guys, Eric Crouch.
Nice. I thought the early ones would be a little harder.
You skipped Cameron again.
Yeah,
No,
that's okay.
Did I?
You did. Yep.
Well, listen,
so
I'm
I'm gonna
listed
give you-
first on my screen, so it's confusing. All right?
All right, so look, I'm going to give you 2 here then, since I got
You can have Eric Crouch if you want him.
Oh, yeah, give us 2, Cam.
All right. In the news, actually today, Reggie Bush.
Yeah.
Suing the NCAA.
As he
and
should.
then I'll hit you with Tim Tebow.
Nice. Do you have a year on that?
I believe that was 08,
07.
09,
07.
07.
Landon's hearing about the name Tim Tebow for the first time ever.
Yeah, he's not sure who that is.
Sorry, I forget a lot about the 07 football season.
Yeah, baseball player Tim Tebow.
Mets legend. It's Jordan now, technically.
Skip me because I keep being skipped.
Okay, that's fine. I'll pick up the other USC one in this time frame, and I will go ahead and take Matt Leinart off the board in 04.
There you go. All right, we have hit 98 to 07 is covered.
Cameron, I believe it's officially your turn. I yield the floor to you.
Okay, now we're back in order. Okay. Cameron Newton.
There you go, 2010. Auburn.
08 Big 12 quarterback Samuel Bradford.
Yes. Good rookie contract there for the Rams.
Highly underrated college football player. Guy was really good.
He was so good. And he made a lot of money in the NFL.
Yeah, he did.
I'll bridge the gap again. 2009, one of the most underwhelming Heisman Trophy winners, in my opinion, Mark Ingram, Alabama.
Oh, nice. Yeah, national champion that year.
Didn't even lead the SEC in rushing that year.
Who did?
Anthony Dixon, I'm pretty sure, from Mississippi State. I'm
This
going
should be getting a lot easier
to
now,
fact
Cam.
check that. I'm going to fact check that later, but let's just say I fact checked it, and yeah, I'm right. Let's just say that.
Yeah, sounds good. So now we're at 2011 to current, but we've already got 2014 in that bunch. So
Robert Griffin III.
nice. There you go, 2011.
The man that made people think Texas A&M was a real college football program, Johnny Football, Johnny Manziel.
Nice, 2012.
And
Order.
And as a West Virginia fan, that 2012 Heisman just hits me right in the freaking stomach because it was Geno Smith's to lose, and they had 0 defense that year. Geno Smith should have won it that season, and
every player has
it fell apart. It fell apart.
Every player is a moment, and Manziel was never going to lose the Heisman again once he went into Tuscaloosa and won. That was
hot take,
Absolutely.
maybe the best offensive college football player I've ever watched, Johnny Manziel.
He is mine, and I've seen a lot of great SEC players. I've seen Tebow and I've seen Cam Newton, and he's my choice.
I have one a little bit higher, but we haven't got to him yet.
I'm gonna keep the in order theme going. Let's eat a W for my boy from Hueytown, Alabama, Jameis Winston, Florida State, 2013.
If there wasn't for a stupid contract, he should be starting in Cleveland.
Heck yeah.
Okay, so now we're at we've got 14 done with Mariota. So now 2015 to present, boys.
Can't remember who won 15, but you guys were just talking about Manziel being the best player you've ever seen. I'll hit you with the best player I've ever seen, and I've told you guys this before. Kyler Murray is the best player I've ever seen.
That was going to be mine, Cam. I've never seen a player do things he's done. But we're not in order. He was 2018, so we're a little bit in the middle there.
I will never forget the Red River game where Texas was up 3 scores with 6 minutes to play, and Kyler Murray, running like a scolded toddler, made it a tie game, and Texas won in overtime. But I was sweating because Kyler Murray was unbelievable, man. Yeah. What's the last year we had?
So we need everything from 2015 except for 2018.
All right, I'm going to stick with Texas high school quarterbacks and go with Baker Mayfield.
Baker Mayfield 2017. Yeah, Oklahoma went back-to-back there.
Don't worry, boys. I'll pick us up. 2015, I think this is right. Derrick Henry, Alabama.
I personally believe Christian McCaffrey got snubbed that year. That's just my opinion.
I will say this. So I got to watch Derrick Henry play in person. I've never seen a scarier running back 100%. Because there's a highlight. If you ever get bored, go back and watch that Mississippi State Alabama murder in 2015. He had a long run on the sidelines, and human beings that big should not move that fast. And he was very fun to watch. He's still very fun to watch. So Derrick Henry, 20.
He's not fun to watch. Just destroyed my team.
Sorry, we're getting to that. Just focus on the Heisman.
We're missing 2016 and then 2019 up.
Cameron, Hunter may have given you a layup there. Hunter may have just given you a layup.
For 16?
Yeah.
I do want to backtrack here really quickly and say that in 20 no, sorry, never mind. I'm losing my mind. I'll get there here in a second when we get into the 2020s. 2016, I believe, was Mark Ingram.
No, he was 09.
Oh, we already said him?
Yep, we got him.
I think you said him, actually.
No, I did.
No. Oh, sorry, Hunter.
No, you're good.
I was about to say, I didn't hear him get said. 2016.
You just say the year, I think it's really hard.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to think I might have to skip it and name a different one.
I think I've got it.
That's tough. Okay, I'll let you have it here. I'm gonna go ahead and say Devontae Smith.
Nice. That's the COVID Heisman winner, 2020. Yep.
What you're looking for, Cam, is Derrick Henry's current backfield mate, Lamar Jackson.
Yes. Louisville legend, 2016 Lamar. Yep.
I was trying to think of who I was watching in my dorm room.
I mean, what a freaking trophy case. Heisman Trophy and 2 MVPs.
The one time I got to see him play in person was at Gator Bowl, and he threw 4 interceptions and lost to Mississippi State. Very underwhelming. Great player, though. I will go – so we have 18, right? We have 18 with – okay, so we have 19 and then 21 to present. Okay, I'll go ahead and knock him off. The greatest season in college football history, the 2019 LSU Tigers, Joseph Burrow.
And Jamar Chase could have also easily won it that year.
Yeah, they had a couple of choices there.
And Justin Jefferson,
I
you
know
could have taken your pick.
Landon knows somebody. All right.
Yeah, there you go. Landon, who does Joe Burrow play for currently?
My fantasy team.
There you go.
Is it my turn?
Jordan's fantasy team, unfortunately.
All right, Ken.
My 0-3 fantasy team.
We got 3 left, boys. The last 3 winners.
These are easy.
This is what I was going to say last time. 2021, I can't remember who won it that year, but I'm going to say this. And I saw him in person that season. Kenneth Walker should have won the Heisman this season. 2021. That's my hot take. And the performance that he put on against Michigan in that was a Heisman moment. 5 touchdowns, and I don't even know how many yards. It was over 200. Had to have been over 200 yards. Just absolutely picked apart that Michigan defense and willed that team to a win. I thought did he even get invited to New York? He did get invited to New York, but he should have won that, in my opinion.
Heisman finalist, that'd be a real tough one.
I'm trying to think. I think last year was Jaden Daniels, right?
Yes.
You got it. Last year was Jaden.
And just because I like the other guy less, I'm going to take Bryce Young off the board.
He was in 2021, yes. It's rare to see a Bama quarterback.
Dude, that wide receiver room he had, though, my goodness.
So all we're missing is 22?
That's the one. Mr. Irrelevant.
Or the exact opposite.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and knock him off. The current starting quarterback for the Chicago Bears, Caleb Williams.
Yep, there it is.
Quarterback, USC.
For fun, I wrote us back to 95 just because I wasn't sure.
I got
you.
you.
What year Cam was born?
Could you get me 97, 96, and
97? Biggest snub in the history of this trophy. Charles Woodson, no.
Woodson.
Would win it.
Hey, no, it is him, but like he should not have had it. I'm sorry, Charles Woodson. If I ever meet you, I will tell it to you.
Before that, I think I have it actually.
95 are tough.
One of them was Eddie George, but I don't know if that
95.
I mean, look,
Eddie George is 1995 from Ohio State.
So we need 96. I have it.
Hold on. We're getting back there now. It might have been a guy from Army or something like that.
Oh my God.
Harvard
is 96.
I think it was Danny Warfel.
It was Danny Warfel.
Yeah, that's right.
Unbelievable, dude.
That's right.
Florida quarter.
Let's see if we can keep going in the 90s.
I don't know how much further back I can go there.
Then I didn't look that up, but
okay. Charlie Ward's in there, isn't he? Didn't he win?
Charlie Ward's 90.
I think he's 93 or 91, and
I know he's in there somewhere. I think I've reached my limit.
Yeah, he's 90.
So Charlie Ward's 93.
I know hold on, the Colorado kid won one. What was his name?
He's 94. Salam. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not Cordell Stewart.
Rashawn Salam?
Not Cordell. Rashawn Salam.
So that's 94, 93. So we're 92, 91, and 90.
Look, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, so Flutie was in the 80s.
Hold on. What year was what's his name? College Game Day guy, Michigan.
Oh, that's 91, right?
Was it 91?
Desmond Howard. Okay.
Okay, now I'm out.
Okay.
No, I wouldn't have been able to do this.
Ooh, 92, Ty Detmer.
Ty Detmer, 1990.
Dang. Okay, we're still on the board there, so we're just missing 92. Can we get a school?
Can we get a position? Miami?
Oh, is it Testaverde?
No, it's the other guy, other Italian guy, Gino
Toretta. Okay.
Gino Tourette.
That's right. Yeah, Tourette's. Yeah.
That's the one.
Hey, we went back to 1990. That's pretty darn good.
I don't know if I could have gotten all the way back by myself, though.
That's tough.
Landon couldn't get back to 2023.
Yeah. The most interesting one on that list to me is Charlie Ward because did he even have a cup of coffee in the NFL? Because I remember him as a New York Knick.
Who won it in '89? Because
Andre Ware from Houston?
Wasn't Barry 88?
Barry's
88. Tim Brown's in the 80s.
He's 87.
Cameron thinks this is like a billion years ago.
Bo Jackson's 85.
Testaverde's got to be in there somewhere.
Testaverde's 86. You guys are just rolling. Yeah, that's right.
Eventually, Jim Thorpe is going to be on this list. We just got to keep going backward.
Gosh.
Oh, my gosh. And then 84, you guys may even know, real short quarterback. Doug, yeah.
Drew Brees?
Kicker legend, Doug Flutie.
Drop kick legend, Doug Flutie.
That's fun. That's a fun one.
That is a fun one.
I like the Sporkle thing.
We need to do Heisman runner-ups would be so hard.
I think
Oh, I
Heisman.
mean,
I think Heisman finalists would be a fun one. I'm breaking out
Yeah.
Graham Harrell.
Runner-up is hard because I don't pay
Manti
attention.
Te'o would like a word.
You know what I mean, though? I don't pay attention to the scores. I just know who won. I don't look at the votes. Yeah.
Well,
good bit, Zach. I like it.
no, that was a good idea, Zach. I love that. Love all the new segments we brought in tonight. But let's go back to the well, to something that we talked about the last time we recorded, but it was a positive note, and now we have to talk about them in a negative light. Zach, are we jumping off the bandwagon, as Dak Prescott said, or are we staying on this bandwagon for the Dallas Cowboys in 2024?
All right. So my fear is we're rewinding the clock to like 12 years ago when Dallas had a pretty talented team. The defense was not as talented as you think it is. The defense is not coached well, and you're just playing from behind every single game. And that's what Tony Romo had to do a lot. But in 2012, he set a Cowboys record for pass attempts. And I think that might be where we're trending towards this year with Dak. The defense has been so, abysmal is not even the word. They've been down so quickly that the bad running game doesn't even have a chance to even try to be decent because you just have to throw it. And so I fear that Dallas is going to be around a 500 team because you just can't win consistently that way. You're going to get down big. You're going to have to throw it. I don't know. That Dallas team in 2012, Rob Ryan was the defensive coordinator, and it's like, oh, you think it's like a pretty big name, but the defense wasn't good.
He was a big name.
And it's like, oh, Mike Zimmer. He's been a good D coordinator. He was in Dallas years ago. And it's like, maybe not. Maybe there's a reason he was out of coaching. You know what I mean? So the scheme doesn't look like it's like they didn't know Baltimore could run the ball.
Because they didn't sign Derrick Henry. Because they had to pay Trey freaking Lance.
But look, the team's constructed very poorly. Obviously, you have to pay your quarterback. So you take care of that. But they've taken care of that. Why didn't you go get some running back? Except for the guy you used to have? They went
and Dalvin Cook.
I knew the running back room was going to be bad. I actually don't think the offensive line's terrible. They're young, but they're not terrible. But there's just no run game. Zeke is slow.
They have the best running back room of 2017.
No kidding. 100% they do. And so it's just the offense is going to be behind the eight ball. The defense, I don't even have words for that. I mean, Deron Bland's going to be coming back here soon, but that's not going to help. They cannot stop the run. They cannot do it. Alvin Kamara went off. Derrick Henry went off. They don't play Saquon on Thursday night, but they play the Giants, and that should be hopefully a get right game for them. But their schedule's not easy. They got some dogs coming down the gauntlet. Detroit's on the schedule. Houston's on the schedule. Cincinnati's on the schedule, who's not looked great, but Cincinnati's still.
They haven't been healthy yet either.
Philly twice. This does not get easy for Dallas. And so I think they're a 500 team. I think they're a 500 team this year. And I think Dak might set the franchise record for pass attempts. And that's just bad if he's throwing it 50 times a game.
Listen, if you're going to have a get-right game, shouldn't it come against a Daniel Jones-led offense with no Saquon Barkley?
You would think. And Dallas, Dak in particular has owned the division, and in particularly the Giants. He lost to them twice his rookie year, and he has not lost to them since. When Dak is healthy, the Cowboys beat the Giants. So if they don't beat them Thursday night, then you know things are really, really wrong.
The only thing that still frustrates me about this in the offseason is, like, why is Tony Pollard not in this backfield? That just bothers me. Like, he was so good, so fun to watch. He's great catching passes out of the backfield. He's a great back. I don't know why they just let him go. That just makes no sense to me at all. Like, if you knew you weren't going to go get Derrick Henry, why'd you let Tony Pollard go?
I'm so disappointed in how aggressive the Cowboys used to be, and they aren't anymore. Now, they've done a good job with homegrown talent. They do draft well. But In the 90s, they were winning Super Bowls, and they still went out and signed Dion.
They
Like,
didn't
you
have
know what? We're the
Jerry
best
Jones.
team. We're just going to go get better anyway. Like, go get my frustration is the slogan was, we're going to be all in. And then you didn't do anything. So it's clearly a less talented team than it was last year. I don't even think that was close. And I feel like that's not a surprise. I feel like we knew that coming in, that Dallas was not as talented this year as they were last year. So I'm surprised they've been getting killed. That's not usually their mantra, especially at home. But I do think this is going to be one of those years where they're around 500. I really do, unfortunately.
That hurt against the Saints. That was rough.
And they still play. Well, San Francisco doesn't look great, but they still have to go to San Francisco. They go to Pittsburgh, who's undefeated. I mean, the schedule is not easy for Dallas.
You know, I think one of the funniest things is when we were at the Saints game and we left early.
Oh, sorry.
On the way home, we were listening to the game on the radio, and the announcers for the Cowboys were talking about the Ravens game and said, "Oh, well, at least they don't have to worry about the Ravens."
Whoops. I don't understand that.
Yeah, I don't understand that either.
They've got Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry in that backfield.
Baltimore was
They were just going off of their record, I guess. They weren't thinking about the actual players. That's not how this goes.
I mean, the problem with that is when you're 0-2 and you're that good, you're desperate and you'll do anything. And Baltimore, I mean, they just came out and Lamar.
Also, let's not forget Baltimore's 2 inches away from not being 0-2.
And they were in the AFC Championship.
Right. Like, what are we talking about?
And do you remember, I think people legitimately forget this. Baltimore killed everybody last year. I mean, they killed teams, good teams, including San Francisco. Like, blew them out, blew out Detroit.
And then went and signed Derrick Henry.
Exactly, yeah. No, and Lamar's won 2 MVPs. If you were thinking at all that Baltimore would be an easy win, that's a problem. Dallas is 1-6 ever against the Ravens. They've 1 win ever since the Ravens became a franchise.
Well, Dallas Cowboys, if you need new play-by-play guys that know their stuff, we know a guy. He's the bald one in our graphic.
Love Brad Sham, though. Don't do that to him.
Okay, I'm just kidding. It was just a joke. But let's wrap up episode 4. It's been an absolutely entertaining episode with our segment that we always end it with, Hang the Banner. This is just our final segment where we can pass it around. Everybody can hang a banner for something going on in the sports world, the not sports world, basically just anything that they want to go with. And Zach is already raising his hand. Go ahead, Zach.
I got to get some baseball in here, guys. I just do. Jordan's shaking his head. It's like, yeah, we can't. I can't.
Might be thinking the same thing here.
Uh-oh. I don't want to do this. Then I don't want to take this from you. I want to hang a banner for the 1962 New York Mets.
Come on with it.
Is this what you were gonna do?
Come on.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't want to steal that.
We'll be all right.
Well, we can do this one together. They're no longer going to be the worst team in baseball. Hang the banner, New York Mets. Talk about it, Jordan. Talk about it.
I was looking at standings. 120 losses.
So many.
With 7 games left to play.
Did you see the run differential?
It's so bad.
It's negative like 335.
Listen, in 3 up, 3 down, for months, I have been clowning on the White Sox. Never in a million years did I dream that they would be literally not the worst team I've ever seen, the worst team ever.
Literally the worst team ever.
The old thing was everybody wins 60 and everybody loses 60. It's what you do with those other 40. The White Sox aren't even going to do that. They might lose a close to 130 games.
Yeah. They're shattering this record with, what a week left?
And it'll never be touched again because no matter how bad they are next season, they cannot be this bad.
I don't know how you don't stumble into just a few more wins.
Yeah. That division got a lot better this year.
They are just getting swept every series. It's crazy.
Oh, yeah. That's your feel-good series.
Yeah.
Also, everybody's already forgotten about how awful this season has been because they focused so much on that last number. They set a record for the most losses in a row. They lost 21 in a row. They won one and fired their manager because he won it. And then they lost 18 in a row again.
39 out of 40 games they lost.
And then their general manager comes out and says, we don't anticipate doing a lot in the offseason.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah.
We have players that just have to play better. Yeah, just play better. It's that simple. You're going to lose 126 games.
Did you ever think the 62 Mets would be able to celebrate ever? It's like the opposite of when the 72 Dolphins do the champagne every year when an NFL team loses.
Bro, that's the White Sox third consecutive 100-loss season. This is I will say the last team that lost 100 3 times in a row was the Houston Astros, and they've been the best team of the decade since then.
And they were actively kind of tanking for that so they could get back. I don't know if the White Sox are actively. I don't know. I hope so.
Yeah.
Their final score tweets, their social team's been hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
There was like final score, go check the MLB app. Stuff like that,
Cam and I, since like the fourth game of the season, have been sending each other tweets back and forth about how bad the White Sox are. But my favorite thing is that they lost 21 in a row, won one, and fired the manager after they broke the streak.
I want to see a 30 for 30 on this season.
My favorite one of their final graphics posted, I think they did this a couple of days ago. It's the meme where it's the car driving on the interstate and it takes the exit at the very last second and it said post the final graphics score or just ignore it completely. And it just went to the right, ignore it completely.
Listen, I love that the social team's leaning into it because everything else top to bottom in that organization is a steaming pile of dung.
I will say this. I started working part-time for the Arkansas Travelers because I live near Little Rock and work in the press box for them when I can. And the other day they were playing the AA affiliate. No, they were playing. It was the Royals AA affiliate, and there was a White Sox scout there. And then my brain just started, I was like a little confused, and I asked him, I was like, you got to be here looking for trade pieces, right? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, you got a lot of work to do, don't you? And he goes, yeah. And I was like, that's just tough, man. That's just tough to say you work for the White Sox right now.
Tough.
The White Sox are 26 players away from being a good Major League Baseball team.
Been a long couple decades since that 05 World Championship.
I would like to go next if that's cool with everybody. Mine's going to be quick because I honestly forgot about Hang the Banner this week, but I found the tweet and I found the news article about it. Hang the Banner, Spanish Fort High School in Spanish Fort, Alabama. Another high school football Hang the Banner for since Cameron did one last time. Listen to this name right here. Bishop Burkhalter returned a punt for a touchdown, and the punt return was a 1-yard punt return. So Spanish Fort was playing Murphy High School. This is 6A Region 1 football in the state of Alabama. Murphy was punting out of their own end zone, and the punt goes straight up in the air. And Bishop Burkhalter is Johnny on the spot and catches it off a bounce and takes one step into the end zone for the touchdown. And this is en route to Spanish Fort's 44-6 victory over Murphy High School. That's got to be the shortest punt return in the history of football, right?
Well, touchdown.
By math.
By math. Could you? Okay, so, no, I guess it would be a block punt. I was like, you could take it off the punter's foot, but then that would be a block punt touchdown. So, yeah, that's got to be the shortest punt return in history of football.
Yeah, you can't. Less than 1 is 0. So, yeah.
For the record, the punt actually went to the 5, but then it bounced back to the 1.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Bishop, if I said your last name wrong, I'm sorry. I'm the worst reader on the crew, but congratulations on your 1-yard punt return for a touchdown. Congratulations, Spanish Fort, Alabama. That is some for a podcast that loves punts. That's incredible.
Hold on, I got to hit the pause button here. You're the worst reader in a lot of different crews, not just this one. Second of all, I've been to Alabama. There are 0 Spanish forts.
I think it's on the coast, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's down there on the coast. But yeah, Spanish Fort, Alabama, 1-yard punt return, hang a banner.
That's a great hang the banner.
Landon.
Hey, that's me. Hang the banner, Sonny Dykes. You get thrown out of a game, and you still get your butt whooped by your former team. I mean, you were losing like 21-38 at the time. Maybe you were trying to fire up your team. I don't know. But it didn't work. And I don't know. Has anybody else seen a coach get ejected for that quick? For
Yeah, it was
two
a quick
unsportsmanlike conducts?
Quick heave. Haven't seen that since the movie Radio.
And if y'all watch the clip of what happened, he was going after the refs. Like, I get it. It's a bad call. Whatever. You get your piece in. You get your unsportsmanlike conduct. Go back to coaching the game. Maybe he just wanted to sit in the locker room for a little bit because he didn't want to watch what was happening on the field. But
did he take the helicopter when he got ejected?
He might have.
Hey, seriously, I read this on Twitter a couple of days ago, and it said something about this is why it's important to wait until year 3 to judge coaches, because Sonny Dykes got to TCU, got to the national championship, has not been the same coach since then. Steve Sarkisian inherited an absolute mess. And the funny thing is, allegedly, I wasn't in the room, but allegedly the Texas AD wanted Sonny Dykes, and it was a booster that talked him into Steve Sarkisian.
How many times
those two couldn't have been more different?
How many times have we seen, Jordan, coaches getting extended in their first or second year of their contract because they did this amazing thing, and then they end up getting bought out for that exact extension at the end of what would have been their regular contract?
Sonny Dykes is a poor man's Les Miles. He inherited Gary Patterson's team, went to a national championship, and has done absolutely nothing since then.
I used to say you got to at least give somebody 4 years so you can see what their full recruiting cycle can look like. And it maybe isn't quite that as long now, but when you just wait, give them a couple of years, one to either prove you right, or two so you can cut ties.
And it actually looks worse right now because all of a sudden they're a quote unquote Power 4 school now. And Power 4 schools, man, you better figure it out quick because the leash is short.
And if you have success that first year, that does not necessarily mean you can make something sustainable.
I will shout out too. I didn't really realize this. TCU and SMU, they hate each other. Like, they hate each other. I did not really know that. And then obviously, like, it's a rivalry and it's the Iron Skillet and it's one of the greatest rivalry trophies. I know we've already talked about that, but sometimes the rivalries just kind of get lost in the shuffle. And when he got ejected, just seeing the hate on Twitter going back and forth between those fan bases, they do not like each other. And I'm here for it.
As somebody who grew up in DFW and claims that they're from Fort Worth before they say they're from Dallas, it goes much deeper than just the schools rivalry. It is, I know people that live in Dallas who won't go to a Rangers or Dallas Cowboys game because they're in Tarrant County, because they're over next to Fort Worth.
In Arlington.
It is that crazy. These are adults, 40, 50, 60-year-olds that won't go over to the other place. So you take that plus the school rivalry
over a couple of 5-win football teams.
100%. And that's the crazy thing about it. But it really is. It's one of those things. I say I'm from Fort Worth whenever people ask.
And SMU's logo with the D and that is the coolest thing.
That is the best logo.
It's so
in college
good.
Sports right now.
They just have Dallas written across. Oh, it's so good.
Cameron, take us home.
Sure. I know you guys love my hang the banners usually. This one's not going to be very long-winded. Hunter, I apologize because I'm going to be ragging on your Mississippi State Bulldogs. This would have been my hang the banner last week, but until we start doing weekly episodes, you're going to have to get this one delayed. Mississippi State got absolutely embarrassed by Toledo. and then the very next day announced an historic investment into the Mississippi State football program of $8 million. The day after losing to a MAC program. What was that final score, Hunter?
41-17.
$8 million the very next day. I hope they got the checkbooks ready after this weekend in Austin.
Look, here's the way I see it: is that
that's what they got their $8 million for.
We should have lost to Toledo years ago because somebody just finally had enough. They were like, "God dang it, give me my checkbook. I'm not watching this anymore." And then we lost to Florida the following week. Yeah, that was rough. I'm glad that I at least made it this far in the podcast before we mentioned Toledo. And then now we're about to go get our butts whipped by another UT. So it's just not going well. But you know what? Van Buren boys.
At least you preserved Napier's job for another couple of weeks.
Okay, so we had that discussion too. I sent you that text message, Jordan, that you said, "Oh, you preserved his job." He's getting fired either way. So did Mississippi State do him a favor? Because if he would have lost that game, okay, then he's getting fired immediately. He's probably not even flying home with the team. They're probably going to give him an Uber back to Gainesville so he can grab his stuff. Yeah. And so fire him on the tarmac of GTR. So shout out Golden Triangle Regional Airport. But did they do him a favor though? Because now he still has to coach the team. So, like, he's getting that money either way. I feel like Mississippi State kind of, screwed him a little bit because now he's still coaching for his job. And obviously the fan base doesn't really want him there.
Yeah, losing to this Mississippi State team would have been an all-time deflator for anybody.
Thank you, Cameron.
I heard Arch is going to sign some autographs after he hangs 70 on Mississippi State on Saturday.
Yeah, they're probably going to stop. They're probably going to stop at 69 because that's nice.
He's gonna sign autographs for the state players.
I mean, if he wants to hop in the portal, because I think Quinn should take a med-red year and then let Arch finish it out and just come on and hop on the bus and come back to Starkville.
Of that $8 million that Cameron just talked about, they would have to pay Arch half of that.
Well, there's a 5-star wide receiver from Choctaw County, which is like 15 minutes up the road from Starkville, Mississippi, and he's already committed to Alabama. And somebody made the joke on Twitter that 7 of that $8 million is going straight to him, and then the rest of it's going to an offensive line.
Yeah, Arch currently gets to play with 14 of those guys. He completed passes to 11 of them last weekend.
Must be nice. But that will wrap us up here for episode 4 of Press Box After Dark before we continue to talk about how bad my football team is. But again, thank you guys for listening. You can catch all of our podcasts on Spotify and Apple Music. You can also see everything that we do, all of our blogs. Zach does all of our NFL coverage with Double Doink and his power rankings. I do all the breakdowns of our weekly picks, and then Jordan does all of our MLB coverage on 3 Up, 3 Down. That's at PressBoxAfterDark.com. You can find that in our bio on Twitter. You can also find us on Twitter at PressBoxAD. Please give us a follow. If you give us a follow and you DM us, and we have some extra stickers because we just actually got stickers in. So if you DM us and you prove to us that you follow and you get somebody, maybe a friend to follow to grow our followers on Twitter, I'll send you a sticker. But that's at PressBoxAD. You can find us on Instagram at PressBoxAfterDark. And then we're also on TikTok posting clips from college football shows. And then there's actually video of the 2 games I went to this year so far. Zach has a great video of the Iowa Wave on our TikTok. And then Cameron, he sent me a video of his experience in Chapel Hill. But I haven't posted it yet to TikTok, but we are on TikTok. That is at PressBoxAD. Really appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Does anybody else have anything they want to say before we wrap up episode 4?
Anybody? Suck it, Hunter?
Yeah.
Come on, Mississippi State. Just cover 38.5.
Good luck to you.
It's time for the Sonic drive of the game. And perhaps as far as I'm concerned, the drive of the game may be our drive home from Starkville to Tupelo.
You can't fire me! I got a